Access to information is a fundamental human right, essential to safeguard the rule of law.
The United Nations has already taken steps recognizing the importance of access to information to the enjoyment of human rights.
Government has a responsibility to ensure that the means for people to express themselves is there. And so we create an enabling environment for that to happen.
On a global scale, access to public information is essential to our ability to address climate change, health crises, global corruption, cross-border data sharing, and widespread disinformation campaigns.
We learned that the timely access to reliable, accurate, and accessible health information can be the difference between life and death.
We know we are an epidemic alongside the pandemic.
Access to information is an essential tool to promote and strengthen citizens' trust and participation.
Access to information empowers the powerless, gives voice to the voiceless.
Science is built on openness.
Thanks to the data we now have, it's clear what the gaps are, but also where the potential lies.
We want to know about what's happening with climate change. We want to know what's happening with gender equality. We want to know what's happening with jobs. We need this information. I need this information, and you need this information.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We will start our proceedings by celebrating the International Day of Universal Access to Information now. It is my pleasure to introduce the different speakers that will be talking during the welcoming remarks of this International Day. First of all, it's our pleasure to have the Deputy Prime Minister of Uzbekistan, that will start by providing his opening remarks. If you can please take the floor. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Good morning.
Jelassi, UNESCO Assistant General, Director General, participants of the conference, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to greet you all in our hospitable country. First of all, I would like to sincerely congratulate you on the International Day for Universal Access to Information, one of the landmark days in promoting media freedom around the world. Today's international conference is very special in many ways. For the first time, we are celebrating this day globally after the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed September 28th as the International Day for Universal Access to Information in 2019. Maybe some of you know that we have initially planned this conference in 2020, then in 2021. But because of the pandemic, we had to postpone it. With a strong commitment and tireless effort made by government of Uzbekistan and UNESCO, finally, today we are able to get together here in Tashkent. I would like to express my deep appreciation to UNESCO's Communication and Information sector, namely to Mr. Jelassi, thank you, as well as his excellent team for their dedication and close assistance in organizing this event. Another important aspect is the topic of our conference, artificial intelligence, e-governance, and access to information. Today, no one will argue about the irreplaceable contribution of access to information to achieving sustainable growth, especially in crisis time like pandemic. And its role is becoming increasingly important during the era of technologies when artificial intelligence is being introduced in many areas of life, including information sectors. Today, we also cannot imagine the efforts aimed at providing broader access to information without e-governance issues. We will discuss the importance of this aspect in detail during our conference. From these standpoints, I can tell you, it is not coincident that we are organizing this conference in Uzbekistan. To elaborate, I have to look back to some recent developments in our country and highlight some key milestones. During the last years, under President Mirziyoyeva, Uzbekistan has witnessed unprecedented transformation in all areas of social-economic life. And the liberalization of media and supporting freedom of expression was declared and has been one of the top priorities of government policy. Both within the government and among society, there is a broad understanding that promotion access to information is not an option, but necessity to build a democratic society and further advance the country based on the principles of open market economy. Following this principle, we have taken all steps to ensure the openness of the government, conditions for independent media and journalism. What has this consistent policy given us at the end of the day? Today we have significantly improved legal framework to ensure the rights to information and protect the journalists and bloggers. Strong central and local institutions aimed at supporting media freedom. Effective direct communication and feedback channels between the government and the people. Press services in all governmental agencies and bodies. Increased number of media outlets. For instance, overall media up to almost 2,000. More than 60% are non-governmental entities. Dynamic civil society. Most importantly, a young generation which is heavily involved in shaping public opinion and ensuring the openness of all ongoing processes. Broader cooperation with international organizations and global private actors. Most importantly, we are not going to stop on what we have achieved. We will put further efforts to address other challenges in this area. All these aspects are foreseen in development strategy of our country for 2022-2026 as one of the essential elements. In conclusion, I would like to deliver one clear message. Uzbekistan will remain fully committed to promoting freedom of media and speech, access to information in country and beyond. For our future efforts, takeaways from this conference will play a central role. We are also very much interested in expanding international collaboration and dialogue with and within UNESCO and other global entities. Let me wish you productive discussion during the conference and pleasant time in our country. Thank you for your attention.
We thank the Deputy Prime Minister for his intervention. Thank you very much. We now have a message on behalf of the Mass Media Foundation, and the Director of the Public Foundation will deliver this message.
Dear colleagues, unfortunately, since the speaker mic is off, we cannot hear the voice for translation. Yes.
Once again? Okay. I'm immensely happy that it happened in Tashkent. We recently recalled our meeting between Saida Mirziyoyeva and UNESCO Director General in Paris, 2018. And during that conversation, we agreed to celebrate this day in Tashkent. And it's a pride and honor to host this conference here, because today we also celebrate the progress made by Uzbekistan in the field of developing access to information and promoting the right to know. Unfortunately, the outbreak of COVID-19 ruined our plans, first in 2020 and then in 2021. But now we all are here in Tashkent to celebrate, discuss, and develop ideas on how to improve the access to information. This International Day was proclaimed by UNESCO's member states in 2015 in recognition that the right to information forms an integral part of the universal right to freedom of expression. Indeed, Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights includes the right to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. The purpose of the International Day for Universal Access to Information is to sensitize governments, international and regional organizations, civil society, and individuals about how they can advance the right to access to information. Public access to information can enhance the protection of human rights, bring about better governance, including by fighting corruption, and drive sustainable development. This requires implementing laws related to access to information and creating an enabling environment, especially one compatible with digitalization of every aspect of our life. It means investing in relevant infrastructure and engaging civil society, particularly young people. The right to information empowers every person to seek and receive the information and to make it safe for them. For me, a dialogue between the civil society and government is key. We need to work with government and other institutions to hold them accountable for sustainable development for all. The government has recently launched a Telegram bot to receive the requests and suggestions on the 5 key areas of the development strategy declared by the president. And I consider it as a platform where people can have access to information to express their will and become full-fledged members of decision-making process. When promoting access to information, we always have to think about the marginalized groups. For example, about the challenge faced by women in exercising their right to information. These challenges that women face while requesting information include fear of retaliation, lack of ICT skills, and negative mindset of public officials. And Uzbekistan is not exception. We also have not to forget about people with disabilities. Our aim is to build a fair society and make the understanding of equality substantive. We need to remember that access to information and knowledge is about ending poverty, achieving good health and well-being, taking action on climate change, securing peace, justice, and strong institutions, and countering disinformation and extremism. Ladies and gentlemen, to address this global challenge of our times, we need knowledge sharing, determination, and unity. We can empower our people with awareness of their rights of access to information. We can work together to make use of information our shared global quest toward sustainable development. Let us be united for the sake of this goal, despite all the turbulences surrounding us. Let our societies be resilient and be open. Thank you.
We thank Ms. Davletova for this remarks that have been done on behalf of the Mass Media Foundation. We now have the opening remarks of Mr. Tawfik Jelassi, the Assistant Director General for Communication Information at UNESCO, for his opening remarks.
Excellency, Deputy Prime Minister of Uzbekistan, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning to all. We are very pleased to have you here today in Tashkent to celebrate together the International Day for the Universal Access to Information. This is a very important celebration on the United Nations agenda, and as it was already mentioned by His Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister, we have been waiting for 3 years to hold this ceremony today. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we had to postpone 3 times holding this major conference. And finally, we are here to recognize the crucial importance of access to information. And as we always say, we should leave no one behind, information-wise. In her message for this day, Madame Audrey Azoulay, Director General of UNESCO, notes that information has an essential role in democratic societies. It is even one of the human rights. It is so important because it helps combat hate speech. It helps encourage intercultural exchanges, understanding, and cooperation. It helps promote informed decision-making, and certainly it helps enhance transparency and accountability. However, for information to play such a crucial role, all people must have equal access to information, and countries must adopt constitutional, statutory, and political guarantees to make this possible. According to our data, just over 2/3 of United Nations member states have already implemented this. UNESCO works to protect and promote access to information as a fundamental human right, as I mentioned, and also as an essential step towards achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. This year, the International Day focuses on the challenges and opportunities that the new information and communication technologies present, namely artificial intelligence, but also digital transformation. We know that these technologies have greatly impacted the way we gather information, the way we share information, the way we use information, and most importantly, the way we create value out of information. However, it's not only important to accelerate and enhance efforts towards affordable, open, secure, and high-quality information access. Nowadays, increasingly through internet connectivity, we must also ensure that all individuals are able to seek, receive, and relay information. To look more closely at these issues, UNESCO is proud to co-host this global conference with the government of Uzbekistan, a conference that has selected as a theme artificial intelligence, e-governance, and access to information. I wish that we can, over the next 2 days, find new ways and creative solutions to empower people through ensuring the right to information. We should try to work together to provide our societies with the opportunities to create an enabling environment, including in cyberspace, so these rights I mentioned can further flourish. Let us ensure that all can enjoy the right to access information, especially in view of the challenges and the risks, but also the opportunities presented by the digital era. Thank you for your kind attention and have a fruitful conference.
We thank Mr. Jelassi for his welcoming remarks. We now have a video message from the Chief Executive Officer of the Open Government Partnership.
Hello, I'm Sanjay Pradhan, and I'm the CEO of
Open Government Partnership, or OGP. I'm delighted to work in partnership with UNESCO to advance our shared agenda on access to information. OGP is an international partnership of 77 countries, more than 100 local governments, and thousands of civil society organizations. In OGP, government and civil society work together to co-create reforms that enhance government transparency and accountability and citizens' participation. These reform commitments are embodied in published action plans, the implementation of which is monitored by an independent accountability mechanism. The right to information has historically been one of the most popular and prominent areas of reform amongst OGP members, and an area that has seen effective results. This mirrors the increasing number of countries worldwide that have adopted access to information laws. Of the 128 countries that have been identified by UNESCO as having RTI laws, 72 are OGP members that have made 320 commitments on right to information since 2011. Now, let me share with you two stories of reform commitment. In northern Sri Lanka, villagers had suffered tremendous devastation during the Civil War of the 1980s, but they had not received any compensation promised by the government. So when they found out about the right to information legislation that was launched through Sri Lanka's OGP action plan in 2016, the villagers started filing appeal. And as they started filing appeal, the compensation started flowing. So the very next day, the compensation got deposited in one person's bank account. The next day, this happened to 4 more people, and again, till the villagers got their compensation. Now consider an example of the power of digital technology as an enabler of access to information. During the pandemic, governments mobilized massive COVID-19 stimulus packages. But with so much money moving so fast, corruption also proliferated. The Colombian government used proactive disclosure of information as an antidote, publishing its COVID-19 spending as open data, and then empowered citizen auditors through a mobile app to monitor and report whether these funds were reaching the intended beneficiaries. While these results are exciting, they are too few and far between. While most countries have access to information laws, our challenge is that many face significant implementation challenges that impede the achievement of such promising results. In OGP, only 13 members are currently implementing commitments to tackle these implementation challenges. So let me suggest 6 priorities for action to tackle RTI implementation, illustrated by concrete actions that some OGP members are taking that we need to scale up. First priority, enhance requirements to provide timely information to requests. For instance, in Brazil, in partnership with civil society organizations on the OGP platform, the government instituted a time limit that required government agencies to respond to information requests by a certain deadline, and also created stricter rules for denials of access to classified information. Second priority, proactively publish information in accessible open format. Using OGP, Nigeria committed to proactively disclose information, establish an electronic portal for information requests, mandate annual reports on request and response rate. Third priority, strengthen the capacity to respond to requests. Kenya committed to improving the management of public records by developing policies and systems that ensure the creation of complete, accessible, and authentic systems, while strengthening the capacity of records management officials. Fourth priority, ensure that access strategies are inclusive of marginalized groups. To increase access to information of persons with disability, Colombia introduced the use of a screen reader software for people with visual disabilities and a relay center that allows the interaction with people with hearing disabilities through virtual translation into sign language, all of which are free of charge. Fifth priority, create opportunities for citizens to monitor and provide feedback on the right to information process. Croatia successfully amended its Act to Information on Right to Information to include a legal obligation to consult with the public about new legislation and enforce a directive on the reuse of first public sector information. And sixth, protect citizens' right to privacy amidst the advancement of artificial intelligence, which this event focuses on. Leveraging OGP, Australia has been taking actions to protect citizens' rights about how data about them is protected and used. Canada and France are improving the transparency of public algorithms that impact their lives. In closing, let us join forces to strengthen the implementation of access to information laws that enhance citizens' access to information and access to justice. At a time when citizen trust in government is at an all-time low and democracy is under assault, these reforms can rebuild citizen trust and reinvigorate democracy in terms of the lived experience of citizens, democracy beyond the ballot box. Thank you.
This marks the end of the welcoming remarks. We now start officially the International Day of Universal Access to Information. I was also requested to say this in the Uzbek language, so I'll give it a try. Ach baradan erkin fai dalanash khalkwara kuni oshik deb elon kalaman.